Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel. On today's episode, we get a chance to chat with Greg Smith and Michelle Lambert, who are talking to us about blood cancers through the LLLC, which is the Lymphoma Leukemia Society of Cancer. We'll be talking about their Visionary of the Year campaign and what they have coming up. So sit back, relax, and we'll catch you after the break. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Greg Smith, and we'll be talking about the Leukemia Lymphoma Cancer Society. Greg, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm super excited to talk to you because you've been posting on social media a lot recently about what's going on. So let's backtrack to how did you get involved in this campaign and what does it mean to you?
I guess to get to where we got to this campaign, to backtrack to about 4 or 5 years ago, I was invited onto a committee for the annual Light the Night Walk, which happens in the fall of every year. It was shortly after a friend of mine, Chuck Lewis, had passed away from his battle with leukemia. And since I was on that committee, I've kind of stayed in touch with the organization. So since then, I've dabbled a bit in here and there, helping them do some things, whether it's at VOCM or on my own. And then about 2 months ago, I got a call, an email, I guess, really, from Michelle Lambert, who we'll meet a little later on, asked me if I was up for a conversation about a campaign they wanted to bring here. So I got together with her and Daniel up in Halifax on Teams one day, and we chatted. And within a few minutes, I realized this campaign was something I wanted to do. Although looking at the size of the campaign and what had to be accomplished, I was thinking I probably wasn't the right fit for it, but it was a challenge that I ultimately said, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so what is your role within this campaign?
So I'm the candidate for Visionary of the Year, which is a national campaign happening right now for 10 full weeks. So I'm Newfoundland and Labrador's first candidate and only candidate.
Okay.
So this campaign has been happening for 4 or 5 years now, never been to the province before. So my role is to be the face, I guess, of the campaign here in this province. I have a team of fundraisers behind me, and we're basically raising funds, and every dollar raised is a vote. So we're raising funds to get that title of Visionary of the Year.
Okay, so when you obviously become Visionary of the Year, because it is you, there is no other option, what then becomes your role as Visionary of the Year for the campaign and the organization?
I guess with the campaign is more or less about the awareness that this is bringing to the community. You know, it's hard for people to find resources sometimes when they're going through a battle, when especially is related to cancer. Every 24 minutes, somebody in this country gets a diagnosis of cancer that is related to a blood cancer. So one of the big things that we want to bring out of this is that there is help here in Newfoundland and Labrador. There is resources through the society that we can get people to, whether they are going through a battle themselves, they've gone through a battle and they're in remission, there's still challenges following that, or God forbid, we're going to know someone in the next day or two that is going to have a diagnosis. So we just want to make sure that people are aware there's support and there's awarenesses out there that we can help them get through whatever they're going to face, whether it is the person directed effectively, like right directly, or their family, because the family is going to go through something as well.
So this is a lot of good that this organization is going to be doing, and a lot of good that this campaign is doing in raising awareness. Why was it important for you? What was your personal, you had a friend that passed away, was there anything else that made this very personal for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think since I originally got involved after the passing of Chuck, I've had a co-worker go through a battle with leukemia. I've had family friends go through their own battles, and I realized the importance to society, just not even from their own battles, but from being involved with the organization. And I've seen the good work that Michelle and the team do, and I learned so much about it. Like I threw that stat out there about every 24 minutes. With the research over the years, every donation that's come in has propelled the research so well that blood cancer is actually has the highest survival rate of any cancer, thanks to donations that we're fundraising for now. So it just stuck out to me that in the business I'm in media, awareness is a big thing, and this is just something that I wanted to bring awareness to.
Okay, so you guys have been fundraising for a few weeks now. What has been your favorite fundraising part so far?
It's been a challenge, but I think the big thing for me that has stood out to how grassroots this campaign has been, it's been a very community-driven campaign. We've done ice cream cone sales, we've done brunches, we've done pub nights, we're doing concerts, we're doing an auction, we're doing a whole bunch of different things. We have a chocolate bar that we're hoping to have on the market for a couple of weeks. So there's a lot going on, but it's very grassroots and community-driven. We know businesses are having a hard time, especially bigger corporations and smaller businesses, to be able to donate funds. So to be able to do something to bring not only them some help, but bring awareness and funds to our cause, it's just a win-win overall.
Okay, so if people want to know what's Greg Smith's newest fundraising campaign to get the dollars and the votes in, what's the one you have coming up next?
So the latest events we have, I guess the chocolate bar should be out and about through Newfoundland Chocolate Company. We do have a silent auction on the 27th, and just go to visionariesoftheyear.ca. Look me up as a candidate. You can see everything we're doing right there, and if you can make a donation, it is counting as a vote, but it also counts to helping people going through a battle, get through their battle and survive, and to have a chance to thrive after that battle is complete.
Okay, so do you know how many votes you have in so far?
I do, but I can't say.
Okay, so can we find out if we go to the campaign, or is it a secret to the end?
Well, this is the unique thing, yeah. So there's so many of us running. I think there's 8 or 9 of us in Atlantic, Canada alone. I'm the only one from this province. And then across Canada, there's probably 30 or so of us actually running. So it's a secret to all of us. We don't know how everyone else is doing. It is like a vote, right? So we'll find out June 1st. That's the end of the campaign, and we'll see who gets that title.
Okay. So have you met your other, we'll call them competitors, but teammates in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I've met all the candidates through virtual calls, but again, they're all outside of the province, so I haven't had much of a chance to interact with many of them, so I'm looking forward to the closing night. I'm going to go to Halifax for that and meet all them in person and see what they've kind of done and how they've taken on the approach. Yeah.
Okay, so being the first candidate for Newfoundland and Labrador and the only candidate for Newfoundland and Labrador, what would you hope to see if this campaign should come about next year?
Well, it will come about next year because I know what's going to happen is that I'm going to have to nominate someone myself.
Okay.
And I'm going to get someone else to take my place. So what I'm hoping to accomplish, not only just the awareness and the funds we're going to bring into this, with this campaign, people are going to know about it, and we're going to have a lot of groundwork already set. We've done, as I mentioned, it's very grassroots. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are generous. The community businesses that we've dealt with, they're not going to forget what they've done this year. So at this time next year, I'm sure a lot of them will come back on board. So we have the grassroots efforts already started. We're going to plant somebody in my spot next year, and then hopefully year to year, we'll grow it, and maybe year after year, we'll bring the title back here to the province.
Cool. Well, we will. We're knocking on wood, all possible. So as a candidate, what are some of the things that they looked for in when they picked you, if you know?
I'm assuming someone with a bit of profile. I mean, the radio side of my career is obviously a big thing, but I think it's someone that doesn't mind hard work, doesn't mind getting into the trenches for these things. Somebody that is well known, that can get in some of those bigger rooms with the bigger businesses, but also someone like myself who can get into that grassroots effort. It comes in a whole bunch of different things. I mean, if you ask anybody what their definition of visionary is, you probably get a bunch of different answers, right?
Absolutely.
So it depends on how you look at it. Very honored they think of me that way. I didn't think coming into this that I was that person, but I'm really happy over the last few weeks to see how much community support has come out here. So yeah, people won't be getting sick of hearing me talk about it, but they got a few more weeks left, and I'm not going to slow down.
Absolutely. I think it's something that you shouldn't be slowing down, especially with something so important. So as you've gotten to know this organization in this campaign, are there some things that you've learned that maybe viewers watching would not have known as to how they work within community and how they support individuals?
Yeah, I mean, not particularly during this campaign because I've learned so much, but I think a lot of people, and there's a lot of societies around that might not have a home office here in Newfoundland, but they have representatives here. And that doesn't mean they don't support the province. And that's a big thing that I'm really trying to put out there. Your funds will help people in this province. Since this campaign started, I've learned of other people who have been diagnosed. So it's for me to be able to say, like, listen, we're raising funds to help you with these support and education programs. Here's how you can obtain these and get to this information that you require. Just because we have a head office in Halifax for the Atlantic region, it doesn't mean that we're not going to be there for you. And that's been a big challenge for sure.
Okay. So if people are watching now and they're like, okay, how do I give? Let's say they can't make it to the chocolate sale and they've missed the ice cream or the pub nights. How can they vote/give to this organization?
So visionariesoftheyear.ca is probably the easiest way. way. You go in there, you can look up any participant, so you can look up my name, or if you want to look up the team NL Strong, because that's what I've called all my fundraising team, where we are the only people in the province. So just look up one of those two names, make a quick donation, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20. If you want to give 1,000 or more, love that too. Whatever you can give, but right to that website, visionariesoftheyear.ca. Look me up, and you'll find me under the Halifax realm. I will say that, but that's because that's the Atlantic Region hub is in Halifax, but I am here in Newfoundland.
Well, we all know where to find you. I haven't traveled to Halifax. We are still on Out of the Fog. So, as you said, there are a few more weeks left in this campaign. You have a few more fundraisers going on. If people are still sitting and they're like, meh, I think I want to give, I'm not sure what I want to do, what do you want to tell them to like tug at the heartstrings a little and be that extra push?
I'll say that stat again. It's 24 minutes every day. Every 24 minutes, someone's going to hear that they have cancer, and that is related to a blood cancer. We want to end blood cancers. That's the main goal, obviously, here. If we can advance that research, that's going to help increase survival rates. I mean, it's a win-win. You don't know when you're going to hear that. You don't expect it. And one thing with blood cancer is it doesn't matter what age you are. I have people on my team who's a mother, Veronica, a mother of Amelia, who was a leukemia patient at 2.5 years of age. I have Pam Stone on my team who just went through a lymphoma battle. She's in her early 40s. It doesn't matter what age you are. It affects us all at different times and in many different ways. And you don't know when that person in your life or yourself might hear those words that you have cancer. And I think we can all say we have all had people in our lives affected by cancer. I don't think anybody has never not been touched by it. So your small donation or big donation is going to go a long way, because one of these days, hopefully we're going to be able to say, you know what, we put an end to blood cancers, and it's just going to be a feeling that people might not expect us to get to, but I think through support we will get there someday. So every dollar counts, and just give me $5 if you don't want to give me 10.
Okay, so let's go through the information again. Yeah. Where do we go if we want to give?
Visionariesoftheyear.ca. Just go to that website, look up participant Greg Smith or Team NL Strong, and just click the little donate button, and away you go.
I want to thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a pleasure finding out.
Thanks so much.
And we'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. We've switched seats with Greg out in the studio, and we're now joined by Michelle Lambert, who's Fund Development Lead for Newfoundland and Labrador. Michelle, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So I'm really excited to now get to talk to you as part of the organization. So before we get into the deep dive, who are you, what's your role, what's it about, and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Michelle. I'm the Fund Development Lead here in Newfoundland and Labrador, part of the national charity, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada. I've been with the organization almost 4 years now. It's been an absolutely fantastic 4 years getting to know our local blood cancer community and helping support them through programs and fundraising campaigns. Yes, that's just a little bit about me.
So when we were chatting a little bit before we started filming, you and I talked about how this has been one of the most life-changing experiences for you. Why has that?
Like I said before we started this interview, I have met so many incredible people. So I was originally attracted to the organization because I had lost my own grandfather to leukemia years ago, and I saw the impact that it had on the family, and it's sort of what it encouraged me to join. But in the last 4 years, I've seen the impact that the organization has had on research for one, and it's such an incredible feeling to know that you're doing a job that is literally helping to save lives. And I hear so many of our volunteers say that too, like how meaningful it is to be part of something so great. But more so is, like I had mentioned to you, the people that I've met, the families who have gone through a blood cancer diagnosis, sometimes with a child, sometimes with an adult, and the level of bravery and courage and strength I think that it takes to live through that, but then meeting those people who then use those experiences to provide hope and inspiration to others, whether it's sharing their stories or fundraising. It's just been incredible. And you know, someone just said to me the other day, you don't know how strong you have to be until you have to be strong. And but I'm in awe of people and what they're able to do. Yeah, and it's been incredible. And what I really enjoy about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is the powerful community that we have nationally, but also here locally. Like Greg had just talked about, the fact that yes, we're a national charity, but we do have a presence here in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm the only staff person. We have so many people who are involved with us through different programs, services, fundraising events, and we have a walk every year. Greg mentioned our Light the Night walk, and we had somebody who came to our last in-person event back in 2019, and she had just been newly diagnosed, and there were about probably close to 2,000 people there, and she shared with me after that she was going through such a terrifying experience. She'd just been diagnosed. She didn't know what the future held. She was scared, and she said it felt like everybody there that night was just wrapping their arms around her, and she said the amount of comfort it brought her, she said, you'll never ever know. And that stuck with me because I think it really speaks to the power of community, how whether you're coming to an event, supporting a campaign like Greg's, whether you're a patient, a survivor, a family member, a company who's helping to fundraise, you are providing hope and comfort to people in ways that sometimes that you don't even know. So sorry, very long-winded answer,
No.
but I'm so passionate about the organization, the work we do, but also the work that the community does for us, for them. It's absolutely incredible.
So not a long-winded answer, very important answer that I'm sure our viewers loved hearing. So we were talking to Greg about the Lumineers campaign that you guys have running. So how did that come to be, and how did we get Greg?
Sure. So Visionary of the Year campaign is a relatively new campaign for LLSC. It's in its fourth or fifth year. I should know that. Like Greg said, up until now, we haven't had a candidate from Newfoundland. So we've had candidate classes in past years in Halifax, Montreal, Vancouver, and Toronto. And this year we decided, let's open up Halifax to a broader geographic range. Let's include other people in Atlantic Canada, because I think it's recognized that we have a lot of supporters here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So I don't actually manage the campaign. My colleague Daniel in Halifax is the campaign lead. But we work closely together, of course, on other things. And when we chatted one day, and he said, can you think of anyone in Newfoundland and Labrador who would be a good candidate for this campaign? So when we think of people who'd be a good fit, it's people with a vision to want to make a better future for those impacted by blood cancer or those who are going to be diagnosed in the future. Because that vision and that dedication to fundraise in this 10-week period really helps accelerate cures through research and supporting those who are affected. So that's sort of what a visionary is. And I honestly, like Greg was one of the top people that came to my mind. I said, yeah, like I know lots of people, but let me tell you about Greg Smith. He's been a friend to LLSC for quite some time. He was on a committee of ours for another campaign. We worked with him for the Doll Carol event at VOCM. He's just been fantastic. And plus, of course, he has a presence. He's well known throughout the province, and what a great vehicle to share the message about who LLSC is, fundraise funds for our cause, and really get the word out. And we were chatting before we came in here. I said, Greg, how many people perhaps have been introduced to LLSC and the work that we do and the programs that we offer through your campaign that maybe didn't know, and I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent now, but I hear like from so many people often that when you're diagnosed, your family member's diagnosed, there's so much information coming at you. One piece of that information may be LLSC in the programs we can offer, but so many people have said that sometimes it's after treatment or after like the first few months that they really come back to us and say, oh, I could access LLC for different types of support programs or information. So maybe the information that he's sharing with the community now can help shine a light on those programs when there's so much information coming at people at this stage. So back to Greg. See, I told you I'd meander.
Meandering is fine.
Back to Greg. And so he was definitely on the top of the list. I just knew he'd be an amazing candidate. And and we spoke to him, and he said yes, and I really couldn't think of a better first candidate for Newfoundland. He set the bar high, and like he said, I think there will be others to follow. But thanks to him, he's definitely a pioneer for this campaign, and we're so thankful to him.
I have to agree with you. I hadn't heard much about LLC till Greg's campaign, so he's definitely, you guys picked a good one in him.
Thank you.
So you've mentioned a little bit that you guys offer programs and services for people and families who have been touched by blood cancer. What does that look like?
Yep. So our mission as a charity is to cure blood cancers and support people affected by a blood cancer. And blood cancers can be lymphoma, leukemia, myeloma, and Hodgkin's disease. There's actually 137 different types of blood cancer, which is quite shocking. And I mean, most people probably wouldn't realize that. I didn't realize it until I started working with LLC. So our mission is sort of two arms. One, and I alluded to this, we fund research. So the fundraising campaigns that we do throughout the year fund thousands and thousands of dollars of research since the 50s that have really gone on to create better health outcomes for people. It helps improve treatments, less toxic treatments. So I can give you a whole bunch of information about that if you're interested in chatting about research, but it's research, and then of course the programs and supports for people who are diagnosed. So through every stage of the blood cancer experience, from the time they're diagnosed through treatments and hopefully through survivorship, but we also provide programs and services to family members because, as someone's diagnosed, it's that person who's experiencing the diagnosis, but it definitely impacts the family, whether it be spouses, children, caregivers. So we have a great deal of information on our website about the different types of blood cancers, about the different treatment types. We offer a peer connection program called First Connection, where we compare somebody with somebody who's had a similar journey, like similar demographics to them, a similar blood cancer type. And sometimes people have a lot of people in their life, friends, family, who they can talk to, but sometimes it helps to talk to someone who's been there. So we can make peer connections that way. We have support groups. We do advocacy. We have a bunch of stuff, and people can learn more on our website at bloodcancers.ca.
Okay.
You can get lots of information on blood cancer itself, but also on the programs that we offer. We also have a special section for blood cancer resources for families of children who've been impacted. So as you can imagine, a childhood blood cancer diagnosis affects the family unit very much so.
Yes.
And blood cancer is actually the #1 type of cancer diagnosed in children, so leukemia in particular. So we have resources for parents, for teenagers, for teachers who are dealing with one of their students who may be diagnosed. So all of that is on the website as well. And just one comment I wanted to make about childhood blood cancer and linking it back to research and how I talked about how important research is and how important funding charities like LLC support research is. The progress that we've seen in pediatric cancer care, like in our lifetime, has been absolutely incredible. So acute lymphoblastic leukemia is the #1 type of cancer, blood cancer diagnosed in children. And a child diagnosed with that type of cancer, say back in the 50s and 60s, had like a 5 to 10% chance of survival. Wow. Fast forward till today, the chances of surviving that type of leukemia is 90%.
Oh, wow.
That is absolutely incredible, and that is all thanks to research. And LLC has been behind some of the research advances that have helped this, but it's amazing to go from 5% to 90%. So I talk to a lot of families who really reflect on the fact that if their child had been born 20 or 30 years ago, the outcomes may have been different. And that's a lot emotionally to have on your mind. But also, there's still 10%. There's still, not everyone survives a childhood blood cancer, so there still is work to do. And that's why campaigns such as Visionaries of the Year and other campaigns we do are so important, because like I said, it literally saves lives, and all the work we do at LLC is completely through our fundraising campaigns, Visionaries of the Year being one of them. So it makes a difference, and we're so grateful that people like Greg who step up to the challenge, but also people who are supporting him, whether it be his team or his donors, the companies that are helping with fundraisers.
So seeing as fundraising is the key to pushing cancer survivorhood to the next level, where do we go to make sure that we are raising enough money to support Greg and you guys?
Great question. So Visionaries of the Year is the campaign. Visionariesoftheyear.ca is the website. It's also linked to our LLSC website, bloodcancers.ca. But if you go to Visionaries of the Year, you can search Greg Smith as the candidate. You can search his team, NL Strong. It's the only Newfoundland candidate. It's the only Newfoundland team. It is under Atlantic Canada, so you may see it as Halifax, but he's here in Newfoundland. You can donate directly to his page, and he's got loads of information about his upcoming fundraisers on his social media page. So,
thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back, everyone. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I also want to thank Greg and Michelle for joining me to talk about the importance of donating to blood cancer research, about Greg's fundraiser campaign going on. If you would like to find out more and find out how you can give to the Visionary of the Year campaign, you can check them out at bloodcancers.ca. And once again, that is bloodcancers.ca. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I know I did. And we'll see you guys again soon.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us or send us your feedback through social media.
It was our 35th anniversary. To celebrate, we were on our way to Mama Rosie's, where we had our first date. That's when we heard, coming from the radio,